Chicago P.D. made these stars famous, but off-camera scandals, shocking deaths, broken marriages, and hidden secrets changed their lives forever. Here's where the cast stands in 2026, and one story still stuns Hollywood today. Jason Beghe was born on March 12, 1960. He played Hank Voight, the feared intelligence commander, whose gravel voice and ruthless tactics helped turn Chicago P.D. into one of television's darkest crime dramas. Beghe was already 53 years old when the series premiered in 2014, bringing decades of acting experience and real-world intensity into every episode. Voight was never meant to be a clean hero. He bent rules, manipulated suspects, and often crossed ethical lines in ways that made viewers uncomfortable, yet impossible to ignore. That moral darkness became the identity of the series itself. Off-camera reports of tension and complaints about Beghe's behavior created controversy that sometimes threatened the reputation of the production. Still, audiences remained fascinated by both the actor and the character. By 2026, Beghe continued to represent the face of Chicago P.D., proving viewers are endlessly drawn to flawed men struggling against their own inner chaos. Sophia Bush was born on July 8, 1982. She played Erin Lindsay, the emotionally scarred detective whose painful childhood gave Chicago P.D. much of its emotional depth during the early seasons. Bush was 31 years old when she joined the show in 2014, quickly becoming one of its most important stars. Erin was not simply another police officer. She carried trauma from addiction, crime, and instability, constantly afraid she might repeat the same mistakes surrounding her upbringing. Her complicated bond with Hank Voight revealed her desperate need for family, while her relationship with Jay Halstead added warmth to an otherwise brutal series. Behind the scenes, Bush later described the work environment as emotionally exhausting and unhealthy, eventually deciding to leave, despite still being under contract. Her departure shocked loyal viewers because Erin felt essential to the soul of the show. By 2026, Bush had successfully rebuilt her career and personal life. Though many fans still believed Chicago P.D. lost something irreplaceable after she walked away. Jesse Lee Soffer was born on April 23, 1984. He played Jay Halstead, the disciplined detective whose moral conscience constantly clashed with the brutal reality inside the intelligence unit. Soffer was only 29 years old when Chicago P.D. premiered in 2014, but he quickly became one of the series' emotional anchors. Jay represented the rare officer who still believed rules and honesty mattered, even while surrounded by corruption and manipulation. His conflict with Voight's methods made him deeply relatable to audiences struggling to hold on to integrity in difficult environments. Halstead's romance with Erin Lindsay later became one of the franchise's most beloved relationships because it brought tenderness into such a violent world. Off-screen, Soffer attracted attention through relationships connected to the One Chicago universe, but his greatest growth came professionally. After leaving as a main cast member, he moved into directing television episodes himself by 2026. Sophia's career reflected the same maturity Jay Halstead fought to achieve, surviving difficult experiences without completely losing your humanity. Tracy Spiridakos was born on February 20, 1988. She played Haley Upton, the emotionally guarded detective who gradually became one of Chicago P.D.'s most important modern characters. Spiridakos was 29 years old when she first appeared in 2017, immediately shifting the emotional energy of the series. Unlike Erin Lindsay, whose pain was visible, Upton hid her trauma beneath calm professionalism until the pressure threatened to destroy her from within. Her quiet loneliness and emotional instability made her feel painfully realistic to many adult viewers, carrying silent exhaustion through daily life. Haley's relationship with Jay Halstead offered hope that damaged people could still find comfort in one another. Though the series repeatedly showed love alone cannot erase years of emotional scars, Off-screen, Spiridakos later confirmed a real relationship with Jesse Lee Soffer, strengthening fans' attachment to their on-screen romance. By 2026, she remained strongly connected to the franchise, proving some television characters become unforgettable because they reflect struggles audiences rarely admit openly. Patrick John Flueger was born on December 10, 1983. He played Adam Ruzek, the reckless undercover officer whose impulsive personality constantly created chaos throughout Chicago P.D. Flueger was 30 years old when the show premiered in 2014, and from the beginning, Ruzek felt like a man terrified of fully growing up. He chased danger, acted emotionally, and often ignored consequences, making him both lovable and deeply frustrating. His long-running relationship with Kim Burgess became one of the show's most emotional storylines because viewers recognized something painfully realistic in them. They clearly loved each other, yet fear, bad timing, and emotional damage repeatedly pushed them apart. Ruzek represented people who crave stability while secretly fearing the responsibility that comes with it. Unlike many co-stars surrounded by controversy, Flueger maintained a relatively quiet personal life off-screen while steadily earning respect inside the franchise. By 2026, he remained one of the last original cast members standing, carrying the memory of Chicago P.D.'s earliest years. Amy Morton was born on April 3, 1959. She played Trudy Platt, the sarcastic desk sergeant, whose sharp humor and intimidating personality hid one of the warmest hearts in the entire One Chicago universe. Morton was already 55 years old when Chicago P.D. premiered in 2014, bringing decades of theater experience into every performance. Trudy rarely needed dramatic speeches to leave an impact. She could make audiences laugh with a single insult, then quietly break their hearts moments later. Beneath her tough exterior was fierce loyalty, especially toward younger officers struggling through trauma and failure. Trudy represented someone who had witnessed too much pain to waste time pretending life was fair, yet she still believed people deserved support and connection. Morton's long history with the Steppenwolf Theater Company gave her scenes unusual realism and emotional depth. By 2026, many fans still considered Trudy one of the franchise's most beloved figures. Proving quiet resilience often leaves a stronger legacy than loud heroics. LaRoyce Hawkins was born on May 4, 1988. He played Kevin Atwater, the compassionate officer whose storylines pushed Chicago P.D. to confront racism, corruption, and divided loyalties more honestly than most crime dramas. Hawkins was only 25 years old when the series premiered in 2014, yet his performance carried remarkable maturity and emotional depth. Kevin constantly struggled between loyalty to the badge and loyalty to the community he came from, often trapped inside systems larger than any single case. While other officers relied on intimidation and violence, Atwater fought to keep his humanity intact in environments rewarding silence and cruelty. His storylines about racial profiling and abuse of power gave the series emotional realism audiences recognized immediately. Off-screen, Hawkins earned respect for community involvement and fatherhood. By 2026, Kevin Atwater remained one of Chicago P.D.'s strongest moral centers and most admired characters. Lisseth Chavez was born on May 25, 1989. She played Vanessa Rojas, the street-smart officer introduced during Season 7, whose sudden disappearance left Chicago P.D. fans frustrated and disappointed. Chavez was 30 years old when she joined the series in 2019, bringing toughness, confidence, and emotional intensity that immediately made Rojas stand out. Vanessa came from difficult circumstances long before entering the intelligence unit, giving her survival instincts many younger officers lacked. Unlike idealistic recruits, Rojas already understood how dangerous life could become. Audiences sensed enormous potential in her because she felt like someone carrying untold stories beneath the surface. Yet after only 19 episodes, she vanished from the series without meaningful closure, leading fans to suspect behind-the-scenes creative changes ended her journey too soon. Off-screen, Chavez continued building a successful television career elsewhere. By 2026, Vanessa Rojas was still remembered as a character deserving far more time and development. Jon Seda was born on October 14, 1970. He played Antonio Dawson, one of the original foundations of the One Chicago franchise and one of Chicago PD's most emotionally grounded detectives. Seda was 43 years old when the series premiered in 2014, bringing natural charisma and emotional realism into every performance. Antonio was never as intimidating as Voight or as reckless as Ruzek. Instead, he felt like an ordinary working man carrying enormous pressure while trying to balance dangerous police work with family responsibilities. That grounded personality made audiences trust him deeply. Later storylines involving addiction and emotional collapse shocked longtime fans because Dawson had always represented stability and discipline. Watching him slowly unravel felt tragic and painfully realistic. Off-screen, Seda maintained a far steadier personal life supported by marriage and family. By 2026, Antonio Dawson remained one of the franchise's most relatable human and emotionally authentic characters. Marina Squerciati was born on April 30, 1984. She played Kim Burgess, the compassionate patrol officer who slowly became one of Chicago PD's most emotionally scarred survivors. Squerciati was 29 years old when the series premiered in 2014, and audiences immediately connected with Burgess because she refused to lose her humanity completely. While many officers hardened under pressure, Kim continued trying to protect people emotionally as well as physically. That kindness often left her vulnerable to heartbreak, violence, and devastating trauma. Her relationship with Adam Ruzek gave the show emotional depth, while adopting Michaela revealed her desperate need for family and stability. Off-screen, Squerciati attracted headlines after filing legal claims involving a deceased billionaire she believed was her biological father. By 2026, Burgess remained one of the emotional pillars of Chicago PD and one of its most beloved characters. Brian Geraghty was born on May 13, 1975. He played Sean Roman, the sarcastic patrol officer whose rough personality concealed loneliness and emotional vulnerability beneath the surface. Geraghty was 39 years old when he joined Chicago PD in 2014, quickly standing out because Roman felt more realistic than many television police officers. He was not chasing fame or heroism. He simply wanted to survive a difficult profession while carrying emotional scars nobody fully understood. His relationship with Kim Burgess created some of the show's most bittersweet moments because Roman constantly pushed away the people he needed most. After suffering a serious injury in the line of duty, his exit from the series felt tragic but believable. Roman represented people broken down by years of pressure and disappointment. Off-screen, Geraghty avoided long television commitments to preserve creative freedom. By 2026, fans still remembered Sean Roman as one of the franchise's most human characters. Markie Post was born on November 4, 1950. She played Bunny Fletcher, the manipulative and emotionally destructive mother of Erin Lindsay, whose chaotic behavior haunted her daughter throughout Chicago PD. Post was already 63 years old when she first appeared in 2014, bringing decades of television experience into the emotionally difficult role. Bunny was not a simple villain. She represented addiction, selfishness, and years of destructive choices hurting the people closest to her. Every time Erin tried escaping her painful past, Bunny seemed to drag her back into emotional instability again. Their scenes became some of the series' most heartbreaking because viewers recognized the pain of loving someone who may never truly change. Before Chicago PD, Post had already become famous through classic television roles, especially Night Court. She passed away in 2021 after battling cancer. By the end of her career, Bunny Fletcher stood as another example of Post's extraordinary ability to make deeply flawed women feel painfully real. Nick Gehlfuss was born on January 21, 1985. He played Dr. Will Halstead, the older brother of Jay Halstead, whose crossover appearances connected Chicago P.D. to the larger One Chicago universe. Gehlfuss was 30 years old when he first appeared in 2015, bringing intelligence and emotional sincerity into some of the franchise's most stressful moments. Whenever Jay's life began falling apart, Will often became the steady emotional support, trying to keep his brother grounded. Their relationship reflected something audiences deeply understood about family loyalty during crisis. Unlike many television siblings constantly fighting, the Halstead brothers carried genuine respect and affection even during disagreements. Will represented the side of Chicago trying to save lives, while others battled violence in the streets. Off-screen, Gehlfuss maintained a quieter life focused on marriage and fatherhood. By 2026, he remained one of the most respected and dependable figures connected to the One Chicago franchise. Benjamin Levy Aguilar was born on June 19, 1993. He played Dante Torres, the determined young officer who quickly proved he could survive Chicago PD's brutal intelligence unit. Aguilar was 28 years old when he joined the series in 2022, and his unusual background immediately fascinated viewers. Before acting, he trained with AC Milan's youth system and later earned a Krav Maga black belt, giving his action scenes impressive realism. But Torres became memorable because of his emotional restraint rather than physical ability. Unlike younger officers desperate to impress everyone around them, Dante carried himself like someone already aware of how dangerous ambition can become. He understood survival mattered more than heroics inside Voight's world. Fans connected with Torres because he represented a younger generation, entering systems already damaged long before their arrival. Off-screen, Aguilar remained intensely private. By 2026, Dante Torres had become one of Chicago PD's strongest modern additions. Stella Maeve was born on November 14, 1989. She played Nadia Decotis, the recovering addict whose heartbreaking journey became one of Chicago PD's earliest emotional tragedies. Maeve was only 24 years old when she joined the show in 2014, and Nadia immediately stood out because she represented people society often ignores completely. She was damaged, vulnerable, and desperately trying to rebuild her life after addiction nearly destroyed her future. Under Erin Lindsay's guidance, Nadia slowly began believing she deserved stability and happiness, which made audiences deeply invested in her recovery. That hope made her shocking death especially devastating for viewers. Nadia became the tragic symbol of someone who almost escaped darkness before violence stole everything away. Her storyline reflected the painful truth that life does not always reward people trying to change. Off-screen, Maeve later focused on family and motherhood. By 2026, Nadia remained one of the show's most unforgettable tragedies. Elias Koteas was born on March 11, 1961. He played Alvin Olinsky, the quiet detective, whose fierce loyalty to Hank Voight made him one of Chicago PD's most emotionally complex characters. Koteas was 52 years old when the series premiered in 2014, bringing exhausted realism into every scene he appeared in. Olinsky rarely spoke more than necessary, but audiences understood his pain through silence and expression alone. He represented an older generation of policing, where loyalty mattered more than morality, even when that loyalty became destructive. His death in 2018 devastated fans because Olinsky felt irreplaceable inside the intelligence unit. He was the final emotional barrier stopping Voight from completely collapsing into darkness. After his death, the series itself seemed colder and less human. Off-screen, Koteas remained extremely private throughout his career, increasing his mysterious reputation. By 2026, Alvin Olinsky was still remembered as one of television's most tragic detectives. Toya Turner was born on December 29, 1990. She played Keisha Grant, the ambitious officer introduced during Chicago PD's later seasons, whose abrupt departure left viewers confused and disappointed. Turner was 33 years old when she joined the series in 2024, bringing confidence, intelligence, and quiet authority into a franchise already filled with strong personalities. Unlike reckless younger officers seeking excitement, Grant carried herself with calm professionalism that immediately made her feel believable. Her performance also carried authenticity because her real-life father worked as a police officer, helping her understand the emotional pressures behind the badge. Fans quickly connected with Keisha because she seemed capable of leading the franchise into a new era. However, after only a brief time on the series, Turner announced her departure, fueling speculation about behind-the-scenes issues. Chicago PD has long been associated with sudden exits. By 2026, many viewers still believed Keisha Grant deserved far more development and screen time. Ramona Edith Williams was born on May 21, 2012. She played Michaela Ward, the traumatized young girl adopted by Kim Burgess, whose storyline brought rare emotional warmth into Chicago PD's violent world. Williams was only 8 years old when she joined the series in 2021, yet her performance showed remarkable emotional maturity for someone so young. Michaela represented innocence, trying to survive inside a city filled with fear, crime, and instability. Through her relationship with Burgess, the series explored motherhood, healing, and the painful process of learning to trust again after trauma. Watching Kim fight for Michaela gave audiences hope that even emotionally damaged people can still create loving families. In many ways, Michaela became the emotional future of Chicago PD, reminding viewers what the officers were truly protecting beneath all the violence and corruption. By 2026, audiences had watched Williams grow up on screen, creating a powerful emotional connection rarely achieved in television drama. Chicago PD was never just a crime show. It became a story about loyalty, sacrifice, trauma, and survival both on and off screen. Some cast members found happiness, others faced heartbreak, but their performances left a lasting mark on television history. If you enjoyed this look back at the cast, then and now, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more classic Hollywood stories and unforgettable TV legends.